Hi,
Hello.
Linda. How are you today?
I'm good today. How are you?
Good. Glad to hear it. I'm doing well. Alrighty. So, how does your voice feel today?
Feels
Have you tried
good.
singing?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So, do you feel pretty warmed up? Do you want to dive right into the songs or do you want to do some technique work first?
I'm maybe a little bit of warming up with the song or
Sure.
something if you wanted to
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
like
Yeah.
exercises in the context of the song. Great. And
Yeah.
then did you have any thoughts on any of like the sight singing? Were you working on it this week? Is that going
Um,
pretty well?
I I had a hard time working on it on my own.
Okay.
I think what I need is I need something where I can see the music and also hear somebody play.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that would be really helpful. Let's see. Okay. Um,
And yeah, if you've got a YouTube or something, or if
yeah,
like I could even record us doing it if I can get
right.
the copy of the
Mm-hmm.
notes.
Right. Let's see. So this right here does have examples that play with this page here. I think it's like 10 exercises there. And then
Okay.
additionally, um, this one does as well. So you can work through that one. Um, there, there are quite a few on that page. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, that gives you at least a few to be working through. And I
Yeah.
think there was a video that was pretty good too. All right. So this, it's Mrs. Musical Pants is the YouTube
This is
channel.
musical pants. Okay. Let
This is
me.
the first sight singing exercise, level one, exercise one. And she has like level one, exercise two, and keeps going on. So it's like a series of videos. So this is level one, exercise two. So you can work through those with her, might be nice. And then here's one that's a full hour video of all sight singing exercises. This one will have more complicated ones.
Welcome to sightseeing
Okay,
practice.
So you can
sorry.
check that
Today
one
It's
out.
we will
playing.
practice level 1, exercise number 2.
Let me
This
turn it
exercise
off.
Oh,
consists
it's
of
okay.
a quarter and half.
Yeah, and this is the this last link I just put in is the Mrs. Musical Pants. It's her like how to sight sing beginner guide video where she talks through it. The second to the last one is like the whole hour of sight singing. That's like, um, it gets pretty complex. But this is that man's like intro into how to get started with sight singing. So that last one I just put is his. So it's those two people's. It's David Long Music, and then Mrs. Musical Pants are the two that I'm going to have you focus on their videos for now. All right,
Okay.
great.
I think I got those all bookmarked anyway.
Great, excellent. Yeah. Yeah, and if you want, you could maybe like just like copy and paste the links into like a Word doc or something too, if that is helpful, if you feel like you might lose them. But if you already like bookmarked them or open tabs, you should be good. Alrighty, perfect. So,
Okay.
and you said you were working on it, but it's kind of like you're not sure if you've got it. Is that it? Like it's hard to know if
You're
it's
talking about
correct.
the sight singing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not getting the notes right without somebody
Right.
being able to play
That
it.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The rhythms, I think I'm good. It's the
yeah.
notes.
No, I
Yeah.
get that. So let's look at some exercises. Here's the link to those. It's very progressive. And he actually made this series for choir. The starting ones, like exercise 1 here, that's going to be more of like unison work if you were a full choir. So it's not going to be where it's like different parts all at once, but later they get more complex and he actually has different vocal parts singing different things at the same time. So that's exciting but tricky. He tells us the first note is always going to be do. We have really only been doing where C is the do.
Yeah.
Where C is our 1, right? Now, this is going to challenge us to do movable do, which means that for each exercise, depending on what key it's in, the do is going to be different. So that means that the key is going to be whatever you start on for this. And so we're looking through, and this number 1, the F, is going to be your do. So that just changes things a little bit. If you were looking at this as bass clef instead of treble clef, like if a guy was doing it, they would see it instead as an A, but we'll see it as an F. So what we're looking for is, and he keeps the rhythms very basic, so we're focusing on the pitches for now. We are looking for the relationship between this note and the one coming next.
Okay.
So we see, okay, if this is my 1, then it repeats and it repeats and it repeats. Then I step up. It goes a space to a line. So that's telling me that's 1 step up. So that's going to be going to the 2. And then that repeats, repeats, repeats. And then I step up again. It goes a line to a space. So that's going to be the 3. And then it repeats and repeats and repeats. And then I see I step down to the 2. It repeats. And I step down to the 1. And it repeats. So I look for how these notes relate to each other. Is it a repeated note? Exactly the same. If it's a step, it's going to be a line to a space to a line to a space to a line. If it is a skip, like 1 to 3 to 5, that would be a space to a space to a space, or it would be a line to a line to a line. And that's how you can tell that. If it's going to be like a bigger leap, a bigger jump, a bigger interval, it's going to be more space between the notes. So you'll notice that. And if I see that, I just look through it ahead of time and make a mental note that that jump is there. So I know ahead of time it's coming. So we're going to try today doing some where we don't start on C to give us a little bit more of a different challenge and where our do changes. So instead of C, we're going to be starting on F this time. So our brain has to process like, what am I on here, right? So my F is going to be here. Now, if you're sight singing and you feel like that's a little high, you can always lower it. You can just give yourself another note. But like for number 2, starting on the A might feel a little high. So maybe instead, I switch it. So it depends on the voice type. But you want it to relate in the context of that major scale, right? So if I think of that, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? We want it to stay in that major scale relationship for now. All right, so here's our F. All right, and you actually, in your sight singing, if it helps you to, when I was first doing sight singing, I had played piano for a long time, but I hadn't really done sight singing. So numbers and solfege were really tricky for me. I used to just go through on like a la 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 or like a do 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 do. And that helped me to kind of process what it was and get the pattern. And then I would plug in the numbers and the solfege afterwards because that's what worked for me. So we find what works best for you as an individual. All right. So we're going to start on that do, which is our 1. So it's going to be 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. It's just going to be steady quarter beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the rhythm stays steady. And we're just going to go through and sing through that pattern on the 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, and go through that way. All right, so before we add the numbers, why don't we just do the melody first? All right, so we're going to start on 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Yeah, so we get that in our head. One thing that you might find helpful is just playing for yourself a major scale before you even start. Like go through and give yourself the, and get that in your head. Maybe even sing the major scale. Go like do 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 do. Just get that in your head, and then that arpeggio. Do 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 do. And just be getting the key in your head before you even start. I find that really helpful to just sing through a major scale and arpeggio before I even do the exercise, so that I really feel solid in the major key. All right, we're going to try that on numbers now, starting on the 1. So here we go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Yeah, so then we go through on our do, re, mi. We don't have any others. It's just do, re, and mi. Here we go. Do, 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 re, 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 mi, 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 re, re, do, do. Yeah, so I like to kind of break it down into smaller components first and then piece it together. So it's not just like immediately looking at it and being able to sing the whole thing. It's being able to, in yourself, process it and piece together all those little links until you have the entire thing. It's like individual train cars and they all link together until you have the whole train, right? So we're getting each component. All right, so the next one starts on the A. It's going to be a little bit higher, but that's okay because you're a soprano, so you're going to feel comfy there. So this one, if this was treble clef, that second space up is the F. For the first one, if that's treble clef, the first space is F. So a little trick for treble clef is face. The bottom space is F. The second space is A. The third space is C. The fourth space is E. Face spells all the way up. So this one would be A. So we know that's our starting note. So if I get that key in my head, right? So I listen and I go, okay, now that's my new key. So giving yourself like singing through like getting yourself into the key first, again, is going to be really helpful. In the past, you've just stayed in C, so you didn't have to do that. But now with changing the key, if your ear is still in the other key, it's going to be especially tricky. All right, so we look through first and figure out what's coming. So we start on the 1, and we're going to have that again. We step up to our 2, and it repeats. Then for the second measure, you step up again. To the 3, which is going to be sharped. 3, 3, 3, 3.
It's sharp.
It is actually sharp, yeah. If this was bass clef, it would just be C, so it wouldn't be. So I think he's just like simplifying it and not giving you the sharps and flats. And if you were probably if he puts it in, he wants you to, it's an accidental. So you think of it as like, oh, I'm going outside of the key. So my guess is he's just keeping it really simple for students at this point. So you just think in terms of it's the 1, the 2, the 3. You assume the key signature would be there, which would automatically tell you it would be sharped. So the C is going to be your 3, 3, 3, 3. Then you're going to go down to the B, which is your 2 twice, and then the A twice, which is your 1. Then you step up to your 2, 3, and now we actually have a skip down. So you're going to skip down to your 1, 1. So 3 to 1 is an interval that you want to just make a note that that's there because it's not stepwise motion like all of the rest of it or repeats. So let's try just singing through on do, 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 do once, just kind of processing the melody first. So we're in the key of A. Here we go. Breathing in. Do, 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 do. All right, so now let's go through and we're going to sing that on numbers. So starting on the 1, take a breath. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. All right, so then we'll go through on our solfege, which is do, re, and mi. Starting on our do, here we go. Do, do, re, re, mi, re, do, do, re, mi, do, do. All right, very good. So let's take a look at number 3. Now E, if this is treble clef, E is going to be our starting note. The way that we remember the lines is you can say a phrase that helps you remember. So I like to say, every good boy deserves fudge. So that's what I say. Different people have different phrases, but that's the one that I use, and it's a pretty popular one. I would say the most popular one is every good boy does fine, but I think every good boy deserves fudge is a little more fun. So I like that one. So for the key of E, that's going to be our do. So we sing through on do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. And then we do our arpeggio. Do, mi, do, so, do. Get into that key with E as your do. All right. And then you're going to look through. We've got all quarter notes, just even quarter notes, even beats, 4/4 time. And we're going to look through and go, okay, I start on the 1. I go up to the 2, up to the 3, 3 repeats. Now I'm skipping down to the 1. I step up, so skip line to line, you see that. Then we step up to the 2, the 3, the 3. For the third measure, I step down to the 2, 2 repeats, up to the 3, down to the 2, last measure, down to the 1, up to the 2, down to the 1, and the 1 repeats again. All right, so we're going to try singing through this one. Do. That's our 1. So let's try just on do through this. First, just kind of processing it without the numbers and solfege. Here we go. Do, 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 do. So we see the first and second measure are actually exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. And then the third and fourth measures change. So that's kind of a fun little observation there, that we have 2 measures back to back that are exactly the same. All right, so we're going to try that on our numbers now. 1 is where we'll start there. So breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 3. 2, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, we go through and we practice that on numbers, and now on the solfege, do is going to start. Starting on our do. Do, re, mi, do, re, mi, re, mi, do, re, do. Yeah, good. All right, so let's try number 4. For this one, we can see we're starting on G. So every good boy deserves fudge. Second line up, every good. It's a G. All right, so G is our starting note. So before we even start singing through that key, getting our ear and our mind into that new key. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, mi, so, do. Getting your ear and your voice into that key. So if we're starting on the 1, if we look through, we repeat the 1, we step up to the 2, we repeat the 2, step up to the 3, step down to the 2, down to the 1, up to the 2, up to the 3, 3 repeats, down to the 2, 2 repeats, up to the 3, down to the 2, down to the 1, 1 repeats. All right, so we look through it first, try to mentally process what we're seeing, look for anything surprising or weird that's going to catch us off guard. So we start on that G, and let's just try singing through on do without the numbers or solfege first. All right, here we go. All right, so now on numbers, starting on the 1. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1. All right, and then we're going to try that on our solfege. So starting on the do. Ready, go. Do, do, re, do, re, do, do. All right, very good. So there are just a couple more on this page, but I think we'll wrap up there for this solfege for today for the sight singing. Excellent work on that. And you've got the examples with the playing to help you, and also those videos that are going to walk you through very much similarly to how I walk you through. And what's really great is, some teachers, they really don't like their students to work with other teachers because they're like, oh, I have a goal and I want to really stay on that. But the thing is, we're all working towards the same goals. So I actually don't mind it at all because they might say it a little bit of a different way that really clicks for you, or that makes a connection happen. So I actually love it. I'm like, we're all working towards the same goal. We all have the same ultimate vision, and it's different if you're doing voice therapy, something like that. But if it's more of just you wanting to grow in a certain area, I'm like, go for it. Absolutely. My student Mustafa actually has me as his vocal pedagogue, teaching him how to sing. And then he has a voice coach as well who focuses more on the performance aspects. And I don't mind that at all, because I'm like, we're all working towards the same ultimate goal. So I'm like, that's great. That's fine. And he tells me things he works on with her and things that he works on with me. He's like, oh, she noticed this in my singing. She was like, oh, you sound really good. And you're doing this today. And so I really don't mind it at all. If it helps you to grow, go for it. So I hope that they say something that just is that little switch in your brain that's ah, that's what Vandy was saying. And I've
Okay.
always loved those moments. Like if I did a summer program and, they said something that like made something my teacher had been saying to me all semester really click. I was like, oh, that's what they've been trying to get me to do all year.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then it just all like fits together like a puzzle and it just like
Uh-huh.
made all the things click into place. So, I feel like it can be a great thing. All right. So, which song do you want to start with first?
So you said you wanted to work on Think of Me today.
Yes. Awesome. So, have you been listening to it? Have you been practicing with a track? How has it been going with your practice with this?
I've been practicing with a track. However, I looked at the sheet music, and
Yes.
the sheet music has different words than
Ah,
any
yes.
tracks I can find.
Oh, okay. So what
So,
happens here sometimes is that so there'll be like a London version, there might be a slight change in the New York version, and then also the movie version is slightly different as well. So sometimes what can happen is that there'll be small tweaks and changes. Like when I watched Wicked, the movie, I noticed like very small changes. They mostly stayed true to the musical, but there were like little changes that I noticed that worked really well for the movie. And so that can happen sometimes where they'll make little changes because of the person performing it or because of that director and the writer like together workshop and decide they like something slightly different, so that can happen. So so that's totally fine. I'm curious, which versions have you been listening to? Do you know which artists are singing on them? Like, have you listened
well, the two that
to?
I found on iTunes, one was Sarah Brightman,
Yep.
and the other was Jackie Ivanko.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
And I
Sarah
couldn't
Brightman
find
is
anybody
the
that sings these words.
well, Sarah Brightman's actually the original person who performed it. So the very first, so she's like our iconic beginning person
Okay.
who like started it all. So that's great. There's also like Emmy Rossum sings it in the movie. So you'll
Uh-huh.
find many
Right.
different versions. Oh, I forget her name right now, but one of the more recent Broadway performers, oh, I just love her version. So, so, so gorgeous. So there are actually quite a few versions. Like if you look on YouTube, you can find people singing it live and whatnot. And you'll find like different cadenzas, slightly different words. So you can just like write in the other words if you'd prefer to sing the others. I don't
I
mind that
do.
at
I
all.
think I do. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah,
learn
so
it.
totally fine if you want to swap to the others.
All right.
And so what can happen sometimes is like the sheet music, a lot of the time I'll find like that might be how the composer originally like published it, and then
Okay.
maybe it changed for a show at some point. And so that's actually happened throughout time, like with operas and things. I did a whole research paper on Monteverdi's Coronation of Popea, and like there's debate as to whether he actually wrote it or not, and I concluded that he did write it but he didn't quite finish it before he died, and then someone else finished it, and then later someone else changed something else for
Okay.
another performance. So it's actually a very common like practice throughout
Ah,
history.
okay.
And so I concluded that it was actually three people composed it as we know it now today. And I like showed by analyzing their compositional techniques how and stuff. So it's very normal. And but yeah, you'll run into that. Different cadenzas, different words. Was the cadenza the same, or did they do a different one?
I think it was pretty much the
Okay.
same.
Yeah, yeah, because I know Emmy Rossum does a totally different one in the movie.
Although
So,
I was looking at the music in the going down part. Um,
mhm.
there was a part that goes down, and I wasn't sure about that, but
Yeah.
maybe.
So,
Um,
yeah, that's totally fine. Um, let me see.
here, Donnie.
All right, so let's see if we can try. Let's have you sing along with Sarah Brightman's version since you've been
Okay.
listening to that, but with the lyrics in a video, just so that I can kind of hear more of
All
how
right.
you've been doing it, and how how you've been feeling it and listening to it and thinking about it, right?
Okay.
Um, So, all right, I'm just going to share that with you. I have a window commercial first. Alrighty. And I got to make sure that I get the computer sound shared. There we go. All right, so that way you can hear what you've been listening to and then try singing along with it. All right, so let's try that.
Okay.
Think of me fondly when you say goodbye. Remember me once in a while. Please promise me you'll try. When you find that once again you long to take your heart back and be free, if you ever find a moment, spare a moment for me. We never said our love was ever green, or as unchanging as the sea. But if you can still remember, stop and think of me. Think of the things we've shared and seen. Don't think about the things which might have been. Think of me waiting silent and resigned. Imagine me trying too hard to put you from my mind. Recall those days, look back on all those times. Think of the things we'll never do. There will never be a day when I won't think of
Can it be?
Can it be?
Can it be stressing?
We never said our love was evergreen, or as unchanging as the sea. But please promise me that sometimes you
Excellent.
When I started drinking-
Beautiful. Alrighty. Apparently, we are, could learn all about the benefits of drinking warm water instead of cold.
Okay.
I think it's so much more epic when you sing with the orchestration instead of a piano, like with the sweeping full orchestra there. So much fun. Yes. Excellent work there. And yes, it is the same cadenza at the end, which is what I thought that it was. So yeah, the words are just slightly different in a couple spots and we just tweak them. It's also nice that you've got the duet partner in there too. I usually cut out his like solo moment if I'm playing it on the piano and just like jump ahead, but it's kind of then you like get to think through the whole process as a character, which is pretty cool. Nice, really nice start to that because we had only worked on the beginning of it, so really nice work continuing to learn it. So what are the things that are feeling really good about it at this point, and what would you say are the things that you feel like could use a little bit more work?
Well, that time through, I thought some of the higher parts were good, but
Yeah.
I thought I missed some of the notes, especially when you jump down.
Yeah, like the think of all the, where you're like, up high, and then all of a sudden she jumps down, knowing where to jump to. But we haven't worked on that section either yet, so together.
Okay.
So that explains, quite a bit because we haven't quite,
Yeah.
you've just been listening to it and like singing along. So feeling not super solid on that yet. Perfectly
Yeah.
normal. And then how's your breath work feeling? Like knowing where to breathe and how to move your breath through the phrases.
Okay, so far.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And then what about, so it sounds like to me that we're still in the process of learning the song, learning the
Yeah.
patterns, learning the melody, learning the rhythms, getting the voice where it knows where it needs to go
Hmm.
throughout, which is totally normal and perfectly okay. We all have to do that. Every new song you sing, your voice has to figure out the agility and coordination of moving through. It's like a dancer learning a whole new routine. Yeah, they
Uh-huh.
know the individual steps, but now they have to string them together and learn the transitions between and the timing and all of that. So, same kind of thing as a singer. So let's go ahead and we are going to try going through just from maybe like halfway through or like where we had stopped before, and we're just going to hum on it instead of like full singing it.
Sure.
So
Okay.
let me find where the key change happens. Let's start at We Never Said Our Love Was Evergreen. We'll start there. And it's just going to be on a hum for right now. And I'm actually going to slow it down a little. This is something you can do. I'll actually share and show you how I do it. So as you're practicing, if you want to practice with the track, if you go to YouTube and you find it, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the little gear shift for settings. You're going to click that and you can actually click playback speed. You can do a custom speed or you can just select like 0.75, 1.25. My husband listens to YouTube on like 2 times fast all the time and it drives me bonkers. I cannot.
Yeah.
He'll compromise and make it like 1.5 on road trips. And I'm like, I'm just going to read a book and like tune you out because I can't like track along. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
my brain needs more time to process, but he just like is like super fast. And he's like, I just started listening to lectures like that in college and got used to it. But for singing, it can be very useful to slow it down. You can also use this awesome little custom speed bar, which can be really fun too. So I'm just going to pick 0.75. So we slow it down slightly. As we're humming through and feeling how the voice is going to shape and vibrate and move through the passages. All right, starting at We Never Said Our Love Was Evergreen. So here we go.
We never said our love was evergreen or as unchanging as the sea. But if you can still remember, stop and think of me. Think of all the things we've shared.
So slowing it down is one thing that can really help. It might feel kind of funky if you're used to listening to it at the full speed, but it gives your muscles time to get that coordination and figure out where they need to go. Especially like in that cadenza, I might just focus on the and really slow it down. Like maybe even set it to like the 0.5 and work through like super slow there, like. So I can really like get it in. Because she goes pretty fast. Right? So that can be helpful too, to like slow it down even more at certain spots and then just drill those particular spots of the song in those moments. All right, nice. So then going through, I would probably do on one of the SOVT exercises like the lip bubbles or the like big fat tongue motorboat sound, or like the tongue trills rolled R, or even the V consonant, working on the breath, but also a little gentler on the vocal fold pressure, and the phrasing, getting the patterns, still kind of like easing into that. Okay. And it's a way that you can play with it, that it's going to be more gentle on the voice. You're focusing on the breath flow and control, and making sure that it's consistent through the phrase. And so it's just like another next step. So let's try at that 0.75 speed. And you said you like the rolled R's?
Yes, that I can do.
Cool. Let's do that one. probably going to want to work through that cadenza, just you and me, without her to
Yeah.
really break it down nice and slow and make sure we get it super clean. Because she's got her own timing and inflection, and we'll figure out like what's the easiest timing for you and where you want to take your breaths, those kind of things. So this week, let's really focus on, it's about, I want to say like at like 55 seconds in is where that starts. So after that first key change, I'm going to go ahead and in the chat put the link for that lyric video with her singing. All right, so I just put that in there for you, and that way you can practice with her with that track. I'm going to see if I can also find one without her that's the same version. Just the instrumental. Oh, interesting. They even have like lowered key versions. All right, so here is an instrumental that you can play with as well. If you start to feel really confident, you want to try by
This
yourself.
February at Renewal by Anderson.
Then you
Replace
can
your
try that.
windows.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, Phantom of the Opera just pretty recently left Broadway, and it was definitely sad to a lot of people because I think it was the longest running show consecutively on Broadway. So a lot of people were sad. And I actually knew a few people who were in that that last cast. So yeah, it was a little bit sad to see it close, but you know, I'm sure they'll bring it back. It's too well loved to not have some kind of, revival come back later. So it's a great one of those like timeless ones. There's actually Maury Yeston made his own musical based on the same book as Phantom of the Opera. Phantom of the Opera, I'd say, is a little bit darker than Maury Yeston's Phantom, but Phantom has some really great songs too, like My Melody to Paris might be a really good one for you. So maybe check out that version of the show as well. Or if you want to do something very dramatic, like melodramatic, the Divas song, This Place Is Mine from Phantom is glorious. So it's super, super fun. She's like, I rule the roost. This is my place. There's no room for Christine here. And it's just such a fun song.
Okay.
So there are some really good ones in that one too that you might really enjoy. So yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you next week. Okay. Keep up the good work. Hopefully you feel like you've got some good resources for practicing independently this week. If you get stuck, let me know. But I'll plan to see you next Saturday. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Bye, Linda.